Okay, it is now 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, January 17th, 2013. Yeah, I started that. And I am now calling the Select Board of the Town of Newfane to order. The first order of business is the approval of the January 3rd minutes. Let it be noted that Todd Lawley is not present at this meeting. He is apparently not feeling well, so he is not with us. But all other board members are present. So the first order of business is the minutes of the meeting of January 3rd. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Seconded.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yes. But I'm waiting for anybody else who wants to go.
I think, Gloria, it's all yours.
All yours, Gloria.
Okay, under minutes, on the first page, it's abstain and not sustain.
Where are we?
Oh, yeah.
So...
Well, as long as she knows where it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Abstain, that's right.
And actually, under others present, Gerald Julian Sissy is Lian and with an E on the end, and it could certainly be her handwriting that you couldn't read that. I was wondering under roads.
So did you get that?
I did.
Julian Sissy with an E at the end. Got it.
And I was wondering under road business, the second paragraph, wasn't somebody to do something about that? It says, you know, that Priscilla, you reported
The Oak Hill, well, actually, I have it among my things to check. That's on the 911. Isn't that is that the same?
Yeah, it just said a discussion ensued.
Was Todd going to do something?
See, that's where I'm thinking, or
Somebody was.
But there was no official motion. It was Todd was going to talk to them, and I think he was going to check on
Exactly.
it. And that's why I put it on the agenda as follow up. But I don't think there was anything more.
It was Merle
911. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the. I think that was in. Personally, I think that was in the previous meeting that Merle.
No, that was it.
No, we hadn't had that discussion until last time. Because Priscilla just brought it up at the last time.
Let's just leave it as it is, and we don't have to worry what, it's too vague in any case. There was nothing definitive.
I always thought we're supposed to, I mean, does it always have to just be a motion so that...
Well, in terms of, what I'm saying is to now try to go back and say so-and-so was, the whole, Merle had been involved for a while before this meeting on that topic. He had already looked it up. My memory of it is he had looked it up by that time because I talked.
No.
Sorry. That's okay.
That's because
you guys want to rewrite the minutes, I find it really hopeless.
Don't need to be frustrated.
And we have so important stuff, and we're worried about.
All right.
Merle was going to check. If you want to add Merle and Todd, we'll look into the situation.
Yeah, that would just
okay.
let it.
Fine.
And then just above that, the first line of that, Priscilla reported that the Oak Hill Road access has a split rail fence is blocking.
Yeah.
So just cross out the is, because that would do that. Under new business, basically a motion was made by Priscilla, and we don't have anybody seconding the motion. So it says in the middle of that cell tower.
I've changed that, and I said seconded by Gloria.
Okay.
In this one.
Because I'm just going by the draft that was sent out first. On page 2, top one, the VTEL tower. It's it's not a replacement of the VTEL tower, it's just a replacement of the sheriff's tower, correct?
That is actually of some significance because they're not replacing the existing tower. They're replacing the existing tower with a very different tower.
Just remove VTEL and leave it tower.
Correct.
And then under old, well, actually, annual report, second sentence, Priscilla will do the dedication, so you want to get will write the dedication. And under old business, the SAM registration is just, I think it's easier to just say registration was completed, and I will send to Pat the information instead. It's not, I haven't set up a file to include names of contractors. That's what the SAM program does.
So you just want to cut the first sentence? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but just say registration was completed, because that was my task.
So you want to add the sentence registration, subtract the first sentence and add registration was completed?
And then just say Corey will send the information.
Oh, instead of that sentence. Okay. Registration was completed.
Yep.
Okay.
Instead of the first sentence.
Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Could I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Or whatever.
Ended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on. I understand we don't have a road commissioner's report.
Correct.
Okay, so Todd had planned to do that, but I guess he took the little unexpectedly. Next, scheduled meetings of the public. Christina, if you want to come up to the desk here and talk with us, I think that would be reasonable as we go over all of this stuff. And I'd like to start with the closeout matters, and then we'll go on to Lynch Bridge. Let me start with a few items I have on my, just things, emails I've gone through to make sure you can tell us where they stand and make sure we know where they stand, and then you can give us, unless you would like to start yourself with kind of broad summary. Okay, let me get it up on my computer so I'm looking at the right thing. Okay. The first thing is the note from Ben, I guess it's ultimately from Steve Ovenden that your time extension request checklist with Benrose office must be there by February 1st, 2013. To the best of your knowledge, is everything in that we require? Have we made requested an extension for everything we need an extension on?
There's been a great deal of humor about this the last couple of days. Your extension requests were submitted prior to them changing the rules.
Yes.
And I have been getting suggestions from the people that I need to go back and redo all of those. So I tasked my employee Diane to redo them all for Halifax. And when I was with Ben Rose today, I was with him for 6 hours, he said, stop, don't do it. If there's a question that's on the checklist that they don't have, let them ask you. And that was the instructions that went back to Ed Tidwell. Their core question, the items that are on the checklist are in the letter that is sent from me, from you guys. The core question really is, what does this extension cost FEMA? And the only one that really has a time component to the extension is the Hunter Brook temporary bridge. So I'm going to say checklist isn't done, but it also doesn't need to be done. So that's the most complete answer. And I'll be following up with the Hunter Brook Road temporary bridge.
Okay, could I just hold you on that before we go to Hunter Brook? Having now learned my lesson too many painful ways, we do need Ben to put that in writing for us. We need something in writing from the state. In other words, if 6 months from now they come back and say, no, sorry,
right.
And I said, Christina said, you said, I'll be dead. So I really need you to ask Ben, to having gotten this, to simply say, he does see that he has all, that if anything is missing, there will not be a deadline problem.
It's actually easier than that, John. Through the FEMA online portal that we have access to, we are able to see them extend the dates. So,
Right.
Okay.
So the moment we see the date move forward, it's been approved. And that is our proof.
I'm sorry. I'm not.
All right.
I want,
Then-
even if he just says, even if it's Ben Rose taking a picture of that page and sending it to me, I just don't want to say, well, no, that we put those on the site because those were what was submitted, but not necessarily. I've been through this movie too many times.
No. I took the exact same position you did, which is why I gave Diane very detailed instructions to rewrite all of my extensions.
I understand. I don't want to rewrite all the extensions, but I do want them to give us something that says...
Why don't I just go ahead and do the checklists? They take minutes apiece. And we'll just submit the checklists, and it will be done. They will be done. That was my attitude 2 days ago.
Better safe than sorry.
Better to
then.
I just don't want to
So-
get burned by a few future bureaucrats saying, well, you said Ben Rose said this. We just saw that
Let's
on
just.
this piece of paper.
No, it's absurd. The circles
Okay.
that we run are insane.
Okay.
So I will do the checklists for all of the extensions.
And you really don't think this is a huge, large task, money-wise?
That is. No.
Okay.
No, and it's.
No, check our money-wise. The
No.
United States. Okay.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
So Christina
because it's a
will-
formula.
will
It's done.
do checklists. Okay. Be done and in and that we do need in the minutes. Okay. This last little exchange there.
Yes.
Because I just don't want to get burned. Like I say, we'll get to the item where that Tidwell memo
Yes.
in a few minutes where they say, well, you said that they were extended, but where's your proof?
So can I add 2 things to the extension discussion?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I met with Mary Andes, who's the lady that does the closeout process
Right.
on the state side, last Friday, this most recent Friday. And then I spent the day today with Colleen and Ben. It may make sense, so I am going to recommend that we extend projects where work is at 100% complete, but the finances aren't fully tucked in and knitted together.
Okay.
So to that end, I think I would like to recommend that we write extension requests for Severance Section South Wardsboro Road, which is PW 1118.
Let me get that down. PW 1118, the Severance, okay.
Yeah, South Severance section of South Wardsboro Road.
Uh-huh.
Too many S's in that bloody thing.
Yep.
And then PW 2487 Baker Brook Road.
2487 Baker Brook, right, okay, I know. Okay.
This,
Because it's really, we're done with the work, but we have not gotten the pay, so we want to just be on the safe side.
and the point that we discussed today up in Waterbury is, what if there was a condition on one of the pages that has a financial implication? By leaving the project open and extended, we can address that condition.
Okay, and it gives
not
us
have any-
options.
And it gives us options.
Okay.
So while I'm doing these extension checklists,
Okay.
I will
Good.
add those too.
Good.
What about Adams?
Remember, Adams Hill is already marked at 100%. That's a
That's
different
right.
conversation.
I'm trying to wrap that.
I understand that. But if you want to have that conversation, slip it in with John's.
All right, so we'll talk about Adams. Let's because we do want to. Let's keep that in your head,
Yeah.
because I don't think I have any. I'm dealing from email mostly as the starting point. Right. Second piece is just Green Iron Bridge. Chris sent in the set of documents so that we are asking for closing, right?
No.
You need to do.
I asked you permission to send that, to close that out when I met with Mary
Right.
last week. You said no.
Right.
So I did not.
Yes, and Chris then followed up.
What
on
I
it.
wanted to do,
Explain.
yes.
Oh,
I didn't, because the state did this front to back, okay, there's
Yes.
very little worry
Yes.
on our part.
yes.
but we have no file.
Oh, you do. It's on the floor in my office.
It's we.
No. It's coming right back to you. The 3 books.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay,
it'll
but
come-
we had no file.
Yeah.
So in what I was starting to get nervous with was these these delays and so on. So I called the state and I said, look, you got to bundle this together so that the town at least knows what the state took up. I mean, they're going to have to co-join a closeout of some sort there because they handled the whole thing.
No.
We don't have engineering reports. We have nothing.
Oh, I see. On that side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forgive me. There was.
How do you close that out without a co-mingling with the state?
Because we're looking at it only from a financial perspective.
Oh.
It's only a financial discussion.
So it's 2 pages. We sent
No, it's actually more than that
Yeah.
because there was, I need to open it up. There was some contracted work from Mike Renault for half a day. There was some town labor that went into it. It's not much more than a $10,000 multiplied a few times.
Right.
But there are expenses other than the state to the tune of 30 or 40,000.
That's right.
So the finished PW reflects the state's work and the town's component mixed together. And for this purpose of closeout, it's strictly the invoice from the state, the check, and that other stuff
Okay.
bundled together in the PW. And they're bound and sitting there. I did not carry them with me last week, which is why they're not with me.
Yeah, just in terms of this, it just is a topic that we do need to address. Apart from the folders you just mentioned, are there any folders that you have that are our materials that we don't have currently? What else do you have that's town materials?
I think when Chris and I met, I have 1118 at home.
That's Severance?
Yeah.
South Severance?
Yeah.
We don't have the small, bundled small projects,
You do, because I never touch those. Those still sit there.
so we don't have anything in the vault.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, but that's it? The Green Iron Bridge and the 118 South Severance are the 2 folders that are currently in your
Yeah.
possession?
Yes. And there was never... There... Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Green Iron Bridge is a new invention because...
You
there was
created it.
Yeah, there was 2 pieces of paper.
I
Now it's
understand.
a more substantial thing.
understand.
So I'll get that back to you.
Yeah, and the South Severance, just the critical thing, remember the one thing we did really emphasize is making sure that Pat knows where everything is and that so that she, that we all know where something is. So if you do in the future ever take anything from here to your work on at home, it's essential that Pat, and now that Chris has been involved so much, I would really want both
Okay.
of them to know.
Easy.
I can't wrap my head around that Green Iron Bridge because that was front to back the state, basically coming in. Isn't that a co-joined closeout? Because in order for the state to do it, they're closing it out with us. I mean, all we really did was we sent up $567,000 to the state as if they were our contractor. Aside from the little bit there on the edges.
Yeah.
Right. The pre-work.
In
Yeah.
this game, because you have this historic bridge easement agreement,
Yes.
and this process really is a financial granting process, you don't have that obligation of having all of those documents. That's
It's really the state that closes this.
Right. Really? We close for financially.
Yes.
Right.
Now, if you wish to ask the state for all of that stuff and create a...
I did.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna wait around for that
Okay.
stuff.
All right.
Yeah, you're...
Okay. So that seems clear.
So do you want me to close that? I can close that tomorrow.
Yes.
It's gotta get
Unless somebody
closed.
has if
Yes.
Chris is fine with it,
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Good. Then that'll go with me tomorrow in the morning.
I don't think there's a lot. I think we've gotten the money actually. So.
Yeah, you've gotten.
So
Yeah.
I don't think the money's going to flow. But okay, the next thing I wanted to understand where we stand or fall, as the case may be, is Hickey Road Bridge.
Hickey Road Bridge is
That's
PW 38, 2838.
Right.
This, in the very sad world of things, is a small project. It falls below that $67,000 threshold.
Right.
And this is a decision you guys get to make. If you choose to modify a small project, FEMA will come back and open up all of your small projects. And the general idea with smalls is you might be a little over here and a little under there. We pay you what we think, and you average it out.
And they don't, yeah, and they don't worry too much.
And they don't worry too much.
They won't take back. I read the thing. They won't take back money even if they overpaid you a little bit.
Right.
And the agreement there, the smile, the wink, the nod,
other
is
side.
you don't get to go back and ask for more. So, while I think all parties agree that that was grossly underestimated, misscoped, and in general poorly done, the risk to you in asking for that to be reopened is all your small projects, which is worth $500,000, would be reopened.
Now, how much is going to be a difference of what the poor, making the small projects, how much is it going to cost the town to actually get that work done?
Well, the challenge is that I think the work, pouring the concrete, is going to cost exactly what FEMA says. You're just not going to get a permit from A&R. A&R doesn't like the design that FEMA laid in. FEMA wants you to pull things out and rebuild it, and the idea is that if you take this slurry concrete, you build a little wall, you squirt the concrete under there, with the very next scouring event, you now have the original, the new, and another hole.
So do you have if you were to make a wild guess, and this one I'm not about to hold you to, though I admit I generally do hold you.
You really do, and I
say.
appreciate you for that, John.
Yeah, but if you were to make a wild guess for us to do it the way A&R wants us to do it, how much will it cost us?
Yeah.
Tens of thousands more, because you're going to have to create a coffer under a bridge.
So what are we going to do? I mean, this is not trivial.
It is.
This is not trivial.
When you say tens of thousands, so you're saying some estimate roughly in the $25,000 to $50,000 range?
Yes, on the higher end of that.
75.
On the higher, so 50 to 75 range?
Plus the
yeah.
60 that's already
Because
there?
I'm not sure, honestly.
No, it's
I understand it's our risk to reopen,
Right.
but
Do you see anything, Christina, in the small projects that could potentially really get with their new rules? So maybe they say 400,000, and I'm just cost.
well, I could see how, knowing, the thing that worries me, honestly, with that is knowing that we set up the small projects in a way to be able to do a lot of things quickly, get them done without worrying about some of the I's and T's. It could be a very unpleasant process. So I don't necessarily want to go through it.
The project worksheet value for this work is at $21,000 rounded.
Yeah, they'll give us, yeah.
Right. And you may just want to have a conversation with Todd Manise and Barry Cahoon and try to come up with some hybrid solution here. Squirt the concrete in. It seems very solid. Thad Betts, the engineer from SV, was there. It's a solid structure. Maybe squirting a little concrete under there and putting some riprap in front.
All right. So is your advice that we go that route, that we try to do whatever we can to satisfy A&R and accept the fact that we don't want to open up the $400,000 things, not to mention the work that would be involved in that.
But
Go ahead.
just here's a point of information. Todd Manise will be here next week for an emergency watershed protection discussion for Benedetto's property. So we'll have Todd here because he's the one holding us up to do Benedetto's project.
I see.
If there's some way to...
I would rather have a conversation and negotiate with Todd than go toe-to-toe with FEMA right now on
Okay.
anything.
Right.
Right.
Todd
I
is
tend
a
to agree.
sensible logical fellow who has.
What date is that he's here?
I'd have to go look at my calendar.
But
But it's next week, and it's at 10 o'clock in my office. So we're going to have Todd Manise and people from...
maybe Todd Lawley could attend that meeting, wouldn't you? Is my thought on
well,
that.
what we have...
Or separately, at
Yeah.
least use the fact that Todd's here, Todd
Right.
Manise is here,
Right.
to have a conversation.
So, I can contact Todd Manise and see if we can
Okay,
just...
great. Could you do that,
Yeah.
Gloria?
And
So Gloria will contact Todd Manise and see if he could meet with Todd Lawley after he finishes his meeting with Gloria. And if not Todd, then maybe Chris, or if not Chris or Todd, then maybe me. But I'd like somebody who's familiar. I'm not really familiar with the details here. I understand what you're saying. So it is, I didn't really understand, I looked through this and it looked bad. And Ben said it was bad, Ben Rose, and I just didn't know how bad dollar-wise, because there's nothing in here that says what it's going to actually cost. So let's see what we can work out
That
with
bridge
A&R.
is sound.
I'm not an engineer.
Don't put her on the spot there.
I am not an
We just
engineer.
advise people not to go
Got
over it.
I think it's much more because everything coming into it. Right now, we have a thought, A&R didn't get any of the debris above
Yes.
it cleaned off, and that went to A&R. So the trees and all of the debris will just plummet.
But that could
everywhere.
rip out the trees, as Todd, our Todd,
Yeah.
has said many times.
Yeah.
Could rip out anything in there. I mean, you could build the most solid bridge in the world, and if you got 100 big trees coming down the river, they're going to knock it out. So maybe we should just wait till the next flood and take care of it then. Anyway,
So I just want
that's
to
a
make sure
joke.
you're going to, Gloria, you're
Yeah.
going to talk to Todd Lowry
Manise.
about this also?
Both Todds. I
Right,
think that's
his
what you're...
schedule.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Okay.
just go in and look
Great.
at my calendar.
Okay, terrific. The next thing on my list is the Hunter Bridge temporary.
Yes.
And we had a brief conversation, Christina and I, just a few minutes ago. And Christina, my understanding is you do think you can put something together with what we have to kind of explain, to back up the statements we made?
Yes. The basic statement that came back in question, we wrote a letter to Ben Rose on the 21st of December, doing an analysis, a least cost analysis
Right.
on Hunter Brook Temporary Bridge. And the linchpin of the conversation that came back to us is the statement, a revised extension document was submitted in August. That it was accepted and extended almost immediately. And what's showing in the original FEMA documents is that the bridge was awarded, the project worksheet was accepted by FEMA on the 11th of July. It was awarded on the 2nd of August and extended on the 31st of August. So the question that Ed Tidwell came back to us is, can you show me that these dates are true? The dates that I have pulled are from the FEMA website, from the
From Emmy? or
From Emmy, yeah.
But he's saying he doesn't, Emmy does not reflect any of this except the global extension written by Gary Shelley.
Yeah.
Shelley. And
Yeah.
they're questioning and they're questioning that global extension as well.
There's a certain amount of charm here, humor. I don't know. The joy that I'm going to have tomorrow is I'm going to say, and this is where I'm getting this date off of this form from your website. So
All right, so basically, Christina, you're going to take it in
I am
hand
gonna
and
take
then
that
get
one.
back to us. I must say, just for the record, just so that people understand what we're talking about here, we're talking about the bridge, the temporary bridge over Hunter Brook Bridge. It's Hunter Brook Road. It's over the Rock River, actually. that we put in a temporary. We knew it was going to take time. We knew we needed to do a design first. We knew we'd run into winter. We didn't know how quickly. We might have at some point hoped we could get it done right away, but it took a long time. Easements had to be worked out with the people whose homes are on that property, for one thing. So it took a while to get everything in motion, and then once it got in motion, it's taken a while. You may add, adding to the time factor is the fact that SVE came in with 4 suggestions, and we couldn't get a quick answer from anybody of how they were going to react if we took the lowest cost that wasn't, and best, that wasn't the original structure. And it took us months, literally, to get that answer. So part of the delay, just for the record, is that FEMA didn't give us a straight answer about what to do.
Exactly.
And we're limited by state law on when we can do construction work in streams.
Right.
Yeah, right. So there are all sorts of rules that we're just following and going along. And now FEMA's saying, well, the temporary bridge was approved, right? Was it really remained in place until the permanent one is built? And it's like, excuse me? You would put in a temporary bridge, and then if you aren't ready to put the permanent one in, you just take it out, stranding the homeowners on the other side. Somehow, even that seemed extreme, even for a federal government.
Yeah.
So, in any case, it's being questioned. They're giving us a hard time on it. It's $3,000 a month, so we certainly, it matters greatly to us that it be resolved. And so we're asking Christina to take it in hand and see if she can talk to these people and get a reasonable resolution of this, that they accept that we can't really take the temporary away until we got the permanent one. And we're moving along with that. We've got SVE is, now that they have that answer, is going to give us, and they can't build till spring no matter what we do.
Yeah, when is that project due to start?
Well, it isn't due to start yet, because what does have to happen is we have to get back from, we've never gotten the design from SVE
that's right. We're still
yet.
holding on that.
We're still waiting on the design from
Right.
SVE. So that probably is a tickler for me, Pat, or maybe for you. Let's make it for you. To call SVE, and could they give us a date on when they're going to have that design completed so that we can put it up for bid? Because we'll need to write an RFP and put it out for bid.
Yeah.
And we now, given all this foo-fa-ra around it,
Yeah.
we really want to do it as rapidly as possible. As soon as spring comes, we'd like the building to start.
Your realistic starting date, based on the stream and A&R general rules, is the 15th of June. You could
That's
probably get in earlier,
realistically,
but that's sort of their general guideline. And with the conversation with Todd Manise from A&R, we might be able to push it if there's not a big runoff this year. But in
But
general,
we don't have, we still don't even have the design in our hands.
fair enough. But when you ask A&R when can we get in the river, the answer is June 15th.
June 15th. So but we still want as soon as possible from SVE to get their completed design. They've had enough time to do it. Okay, I just want to confirm one piece, which is we did accept defeat on Hunter Brook 2. Is that correct?
I absolutely recommend accepting defeat.
I think we
on that.
did, didn't we say?
Yeah.
We said, I think you sent something. Then just for, again, everyone's understanding, Hunter Brook Bridge 2 may need some more extensive work. It may not. That we're going to have to assess. The bottom line is the dam, whatever kind of bending there is, didn't look to the firm we brought in to be done by the flood. Therefore, we will accept the 24 grand, which they paid us.
They did. They did.
Yes, just the last, we got 24 more grand from FEMA. No, we got the final
that
8
at
grand
100%?
from FEMA.
And that's a small project.
It's a small project.
It's a small project, and so that's paid.
That's paid. So that came in.
Okay.
That's our most recent payment.
Yeah.
All right, those are the ones I had on my list. So maybe you could bring us up to date on what I didn't have on my list.
Okay. During my meeting last week with Mary Indies from Vermont Emergency Management, when I was closing out other projects, FEMA and the state have come up with a ruling, because there are so many projects and so many millions of dollars and all, that if FEMA recognizes that a project was at 100% when the documents were submitted, and they reported 100% in their ME website process, no documents need to be submitted for closeout.
They're just, yeah, they're overwhelmed in other words.
They are.
Yes. So there are 3 projects that Newfane has where, large projects, because that's all I'm really focusing on, large projects where the documents were received and considered at 100%.
And
Yeah.
those are?
Those are 1056 South Section, South Wardsboro Road,
Okay.
1338 Eddy Road,
13, I just typed it, 1338 Eddy Road.
Eddy
Yeah.
Road.
Yep.
and then the last one is 3041 Adams Hill Road. And it's worth coming back and having a little conversation about Adams Hill Road.
Right. Okay.
In a moment, but that's the news on that. So the conversation I had with Chris Brook is that what we'll do is we'll go into the ME system, print out all the documents that Shannon and the town submitted, put those in a binder, put the pretty labels on the binder, and put the binder in the vault.
Okay.
So we have a paper copy of what's on that website.
Okay.
And we'll call that submission the official record.
Okay. All right, well, we want to talk about this further at some point, but not in this moment. Okay.
Okay. Chris, do you want to talk about Adams Hill Road, 3041?
We're owed money on that
That's
one.
the big,
That's the
outstanding.
biggie.
Yeah. So during my work on this Adams Hill Road, according to FEMA and, the early work, the FEMA estimate and the early work is paid based on $365,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I went through and built the book using the documents from the treasurer and everything else, I actually tracked $436,000 worth of expenses. So doing some bad math, $70,000 more? 40 and, yeah, $70,000 more. This is a large project. And we love large projects. We hate small projects. We love large projects. Large projects allow us to go in and say, this cost more. And we can collect that money. If there was an oversight in the scope, like the guardrail was required and we didn't put the guardrail in the estimate, if the material costs were higher,
Right.
you have this play with large projects. If there was something that was done that was outside of the original scope of work, that may not be cost that we can recoup. But if we write a document that describes why that change of scope and change of cost is necessary, we may be able to go back and recoup those costs.
But this has gone on since its very beginning. And my understanding of the issue from day one on this is that we did work before SVE came in and gave their estimate. And we had already loaded tons of gravel there to build up the road because it was necessary as emergency repairs. And then SVE came in with that all having been done, and then they gave their estimate, and that estimate is what FEMA based it on because they weren't really taking into account what was done prior. And that the dispute there's been discussion back and forth about that as long as I can remember.
Wasn't
I
there also
thought
something of raising the
had
stream
been
bed?
resolved about a couple times. People have told me it was resolved. I don't want to, I don't even know who told me what. But now again, this is rearing its head. This is a huge difference from the point of view of the town.
It is. It is. So I think the next step on this is two forensic efforts. One is if there is a narrative somewhere, an email to...
That's what I'm gonna work on.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to take that.
Yes.
The task that I'll take on is going through the FEMA language which describes the scope of work
Right.
and attaching the costs to the individual pieces of the scope of work. if there's work that was done that was outside of the scope, and we capture that in the narrative, and Charles Williams or a FEMA person was involved in that, we can create a change of scope document.
What's our time frame on that?
Our time frame would be, let's do an extension on it. Let's do an extension on it.
Let's do an extension on
Okay,
that.
I'm going to add that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've added an extension.
Now, why do I have Adams Hill? What were the three you said were at 100%?
You just said that Adams Hill was
Oh, I did put that on there the first time?
Yeah.
the three large
Oh,
dogs.
wasn't I clever? I was thinking.
3041 is Adams.
Okay,
yeah.
good, yeah.
Yeah, so is that what you meant?
No,
No. This was what you were just telling us that
yeah.
we just need to print
What?
it.
I anticipated where we're going, John. There are 3 projects we need to extend, and this is why we're going to extend
This
Adams
one,
Hill.
even though it's at 100%, and you could technically close it out.
Okay. If it's the 3 considered at 100%,
Yeah.
it still is at 100%, but we need an extension on it. Okay.
Right.
Yes,
And
Okay.
because we want to have a discussion on these finances.
Okay,
Can't
so
do
you
a
will
scope
take care-
change 'cause
Christina,
that's
you will
over.
take care of that.
We can do a scope change.
Is there any reason that we might need to after
Yeah.
I get the doc?
That's it. So if we have an email from Charles, the project specialist, the FEMA project
No,
specialist,
you were not. It's very unlikely she's going to find that.
there's,
He never.
He didn't put anything in writing,
writing.
including things he said either he didn't put it in
Okay.
writing or that FEMA
but if there's
didn't acknowledge it. But
if there's, let's say that when SVE, the engineering firm, came in
Right.
and they missed a piece of it and FEMA based their work on the SVE work and oversight, that's justification for a change of scope.
all right,
And,
so we'll see what we can find
That's
between
it.
you and Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, you'll
Yeah.
figure out the best.
and on a large project, this is perfectly acceptable.
Mhm.
We have,
Okay.
Okay.
this is good sport.
Okay, fair enough. All right, what else?
That beats up the sort of everything else but Lynch Road.
Lynch
Lynch
Bridge.
Yes, Lynch Road Bridge.
Okay, Lynch Bridge. We had a discussion about that. We've been meeting. You know, we have meetings on all. It seems like every moment of the day and night because of budget season. So we did have a meeting on Tuesday.
Okay.
The feeling of the board is that we really feel our focus with you needs to be on the project closeouts.
Okay.
We want to use your work that you've done, and you will bill us for it, but we want to kind of, we feel we've gotten a little bit out of touch with our own building projects,
Good.
and we kind of need to get back into it. So that's
Okay.
that's where we want to head with this now. We'll take, the one thing we critically need to do and need to talk about now is kind of closing down the pieces we started that didn't finish, like the boring estimates and
Yes.
and any contractors who are kind of thinking any day now they're going to get word from us because it's going to take, it's now going to different things.
Yes.
That we
So we have a very simple mailing list to send that out
So
once
that-
you
that-
guys make the decision to shut that down.
Well, we have decided we're, you know, as we've all talked about, we know we don't want to go forward. We're, again, with FEMA not being
Yeah.
prepared to handle, and honestly, I think many of us came to the conclusion, I think as a board, we did come to the conclusion that the idea of doing design build was probably a better strategy, and that when I talked to the people of the state, you know, as they began to talk about it, they began to say, yeah, well, we were shy about it at first ourselves. I'm one of the guys that I've been here 30 years, and we always avoided it, but in the last 5 years, this has been a very common way to do it. Unfortunately, it's not a common way per the regulations, at least that the one FEMA guy who we got looking at it is looking at it. So,
He said, "Eat."
so we therefore do want to shut down the design build contract and say we will send a new RFP once we've got our ducks in a row, which should be very soon, but that's what we want to do. So what we would like, what we would like you to do is to contact those guys in whatever way formally to say that we're not going forward with that, and similarly with the boring estimates that we're not going forward with that at this time.
And then there was a 2-page document that we got from Ken Pinkham.
Right.
On the guidelines that he wants in there. Those are in the version I sent you
Great.
today.
Terrific.
Okay.
Terrific.
So there was essentially a copy-paste effort in there. And your the timeline, I probably made you a PDF, but that
You
timeline
did.
is easily modified with a simple Excel spreadsheet.
Could you send us this document, if it is a PDF, could you send it to us as a Word document so we can?
Yes, I can.
I would like that.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to wipe it out to the baseline.
Yes.
We're going to start and we're going to go to an A&E.
Yes.
You're going to set up the RFPs.
No.
We're gonna do
You're
that.
going to do that.
No, we're going to take the RFP.
You're doing
Okay.
She's the one thing that she will do for us is she'll take this RFP that's probably
Okay.
perfect for us in any
Yep.
case, but put it into a Word document so that if we feel
Yeah.
or some
Yeah.
whatever,
Okay.
we can.
Fine.
Yeah. And then you guys will hold the pre-bid conference.
We'll take it from here. We'll
Okay.
take it.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
All right. That's kind of.
And then you and I are going to co-join on getting our nemesis out of the way here.
Yes. Which
Okay.
is really, I think, down to 2. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Baker Brook and Adams Hill.
So
Yeah.
Those are the two that are.
Yeah.
And unfortunately.
We'll take a look at severance.
Yeah.
Not much.
And we
That's
want
not a
to.
huge amount of money,
Okay.
thank God. But the other two are big ticket items. Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Christina. You've really been doing a job for us, and we do very much appreciate it.
Okay.
And if you're coming to the end of, you're probably coming to the end of
John,
time soon.
no. You
No.
have no idea how little I cost you.
I don't. I don't. I mean that literally. I don't. Not because I
You keep
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I haven't even touched,
But there's a time thing too, so we may be. When do you know when that
I think
is?
it's February 12th.
So we may have to renew.
Yeah, and I have a new contract for you then on
All
that.
right. Okay. So send that to email
Yeah.
me that so we can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
Can I just give the date and time for the Todd Manise to be here?
Oh yes.
So it's going to be on the 22nd,
So I guess.
3 p.m.
So who was I asking to? I guess I was asking you to organize
Right.
it, but it's.
Just for people to know.
Tuesday.
Do you have the flash drive with you?
I've got one right in the office if
Because that-
she doesn't.
The 23
don't,
meg
I've got it.
document that I emailed you got rejected.
Oh yeah.
I've got an 8 gig flash.
The
It's
bidding
just,
documents.
it's just too big to email us.
Oh, you wanna put something on a flash drive.
Other kind of
Yeah, I
rejected
wanna-
is just a
Oh, I'm
computer.
sorry. I thought you wanted all this information.
No, I'm going to give you that maybe stuff, the maybe bridge stuff.
So
That's all the Newfane one.
meeting with Todd and Todd, too,
Can be. I'm actually.
just
It's not.
clarifying.
It's not really necessary. Really, what we're going to be asking is not a FEMA-related question. It's really how
So who?
we're
who
stuck with the
conveys that?
cost.
But who conveys the information about the problem? How does that get?
I see what
conveyed?
you're saying.
To Todd.
Well, I was okay with Gloria telling him.
And Todd and I have a relationship. I can email him too.
All right. Either way, I think
Yeah,
he
he did.
I think he
Tell him
actually
what was
understands
discussed.
the deal, which is they're paying for 20 grand. Anything above that, 24 grand, I think it is. Anything above that is our town expense.
Not too complicated now that they've laid it out for us. Really.
It's like when you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah. It's kind of right there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that concludes this. I do have I see Tristan waiting patiently or impatiently, as the case may be.
Just one
Yes.
second. I want to
Go ahead.
clarify then.
Go for it.
So, even though the Lynch Bridge itself will move forward by the engineers or whoever all it is, right? Do we need to do anything on scope change, extension?
Yes.
Haha. Okay.
Oh.
So that's why.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
why
good,
I'm
good.
centering you over there.
Yes, because on the
Yes.
FEMA side, you're still.
Yes.
Yeah. You,
Okay.
yeah. All you're going to do, I mean, you're going to put that thing out to bid. You're going to make some motions, and when you pick your thing, you're going to do a matrix up on a wall.
Yep.
You're going to record a matrix in your thing, and you're going to pass a motion picking your bidder.
Right.
Yeah, and then we have to take all of that stuff back from them, with including the checklist that the design team comes with, which is essentially what Ken Pinkham sent us.
Right.
Make sure that everything
Right.
is done, and then go and get the next PW, because the next PW won't actually be called 2552.
But the
Exactly.
going and the getting the next PW is still something we would want you
Yes.
involved
Yeah.
in. And
Yes.
what Chris is raising is also, do we need to ask for an extension in the meantime?
That's done.
Didn't you
Okay.
already?
Okay.
Yeah, that one's done.
Okay,
The other,
that's what I thought. I didn't. It did.
so
Okay, fine.
it says NF Newfane 3073 temp bridge bids.pdf.
Okay,
That's all the Navy bridge.
that's the maybe stuff.
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm gonna look, I'll dig on that.
yeah. Very good.
Okay, I've got a handle on
Okay,
one.
great.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
I'm done.
Okay, terrific.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
again. Next, we actually got to, I know it only looked like a short agenda, but this, you didn't realize how big this one was. Tristan, thank you for waiting.
Mine's really short.
And thank you for delivering, I can't believe I'm actually looking at this thing, an actual new, updated town plan. Draft, well, it's still an updated town plan, even if it is a draft.
Yeah.
It has to go through.
About the time that Irene hit, we had submitted the readoption, the previous town plan, but then I think in the midst of the story of Irene, it got overlooked. And
Thank you, Christine. That's
we learned we
great.
had to resubmit in order for us to actually change the bylaws. So we could
Right.
not, we cannot change bylaws
Right.
without an effective adopted town plan.
Exactly.
So we did a crash course in updating all the data that we could possibly update in the town plan. So what we have now is the most current statistics. We changed no text because we didn't have authority to do that. That's the process. So what you have are the maps as they were in the prior edition, and you have all the text but all the tables, and then whatever text had to reflect the tables, that was changed. So, but we changed no intent, nor plan, nor vision, nor strategy. We changed only numbers and whatever justification had to accompany those numbers.
Could I ask you just a little question on that? I mean, I think it's fine, but you said you weren't allowed to? I didn't understand.
Well, we can't because the process, the public process, creates the plan, and we know that actually 2.5, almost 3 years ago, we were asked to lead a process that would involve the community in addressing a change to the town plan. That town plan has been readopted 6 times.
Uh-huh.
So the thinking that went into it is archaic. Dusty, probably dinosaur age. So it's probably time that the community sat down and looked at whether it says what it wants it to say. There are many things that have happened since.
But
So-
that would, as I'm understanding what you're saying, that would be a very large process effort, and so to get a plan in place so we can move forward with other things, you wanted to simply do it as simply as possible, updating the numbers, leaving the text, with the knowledge that at some point in time, perhaps as whenever, maybe after the bylaws, but at some point in time you want to you're suggesting it should be revisited to see if this is still what it should be.
Exactly.
With town input.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was so much pressure for the bylaws, I mean, the town at one point was ready to throw them out. Remember
Right.
the forum? So we pushed through getting the statistics changed so that we could put that into the public approval process, which it now is. March 25th will be the public hearing for the town plan, which we expect very little turnout. The copies have been sent to all the
Now they're seeing it on TV, everybody
Yeah.
should be good.
The copies have been sent to all the adjoining municipalities, plus the Wyndham Regional Commission and other connections. So we've met the letter of the law that way.
Great.
So March 25th is the meeting. At the close of that meeting, we'll then incorporate whatever changes there may be and pass it on to you.
Then it comes to us.
That's right. And then you all hold your public meeting, after which you can then change draft to adopt it and put a date in there.
Now,
So
In terms of the public meeting that we hold, does it have to be a special meeting?
No, it can be a regular meeting. You just need to forewarn it just as you always do.
Oh,
There needs to
okay.
be enough lead time.
Okay, but there's a special lead time. That's
Right.
probably the difference.
Yeah, it's no less than 45 days.
45 days,
Yeah.
okay.
But the other thing we did, which was really time consuming, was that the town did not have a Word document, which was the prior town plan.
That's right.
We had a PDF.
Oh,
So we changed it. We now have a Word document.
because you can now extract from PDFs text. I guess you figured that out.
Except that the number of tables in chart,
It was too painful.
right. So we now have a editable, user-friendly Word document that the town can use to
Oh,
edit
good for
and
you.
change and modify as it needs to. So,
I have only one correction.
good.
Bridge 14 is completed now.
Oh, okay.
You have it as under construction and it is
Well, because it's
complete.
an editable product, you
Yeah.
can do that.
In
Yeah.
page 26 says in process, you can put completed in there.
Completed.
All right.
I saw that.
We may reserve that one for your moment in the life.
That's a good idea.
Believe me, we have enough. I don't feel any need for.
Where's the meeting being held?
Here.
Here?
Right here, there were 50 copies printed. So we distributed some. We'll have some at that meeting. The others, I believe, are still in that box. I think all of you were given a copy just for your own edification. And so
Great.
there we are.
Well, thank you and congratulations.
Bylaws are next.
Congratulations, Tristan, on moving it this far ahead. Any other questions from anyone?
And has that been warned?
Yes.
Hearing?
Yes. Actually, no. It gets warned between the 5th and 11th of February.
Okay.
So that it's warned with adequate lead time for the market.
That's what
Okay.
I, because it seemed like one of those
Yeah.
things.
So we're not missing any
You're not
steps this time.
or else you'll start over again.
No,
No,
we're
they'll not.
Destroying all Word
You'll have
copies.
a new board. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
very
Tristan.
much, Tristan. Okay, moving forward. The next item of business is new business. Are there any unscheduled members of the public who would like to speak? Okay, then we'll move forward to new business. The first is, the only new business is excessive weight permit. That's, you have that correct. Well, this is excessive weight permits. Pat, what have you got for
Yes,
us?
this came in, the application for the permit for a single vehicle. It was R.L. Cook Timber Harvesting out of Winchester, New Hampshire. And they filled out the documentation properly. I sent a letter back. And with all the conditions for
Right.
the bridges and the weights, and what was allowed on
Right.
all of our bridges. So,
Oh, is this just for us to sign?
well, I'm supposed to notify you even though I've approved it.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
but
thank
she-
you.
yeah, she
Okay,
has-
great.
yeah.
Great. Thank you.
How many pounds is the request?
Well, it says 104. We have a limit of 99, which of that is what I told them, that we have a limit of 99.
99's the, yeah. Okay.
Great.
Now we go to old business, Hurricane Irene mitigation. And I think we're talking here about HMGP. And the first item I have for that, I know, Gloria, you have some stuff that I guess is listed. Some of these things are a little overlapping. The biggest concern I have, and this is where I missed Todd, I don't know if I don't know any more than what I have in front of me, is still this business about 279 Dover, which Dan Hull has been kind of handling for us, but it's still not done. It's the most, I mean,
Shall we say convoluted?
yeah, it's, prove it, should have been in the floodplain, and get the maps just, but if nobody has further input, I'm just gonna have to pursue it with Dan. It's still going on, that's all I can tell you.
It is. And were those emails bodies today that you were looking at?
Many of them
Okay.
today.
So what's happening now is Ray Doherty et al. Are reviewing the engineering reports, and what they're looking for is, because there was no building at the site after the flood, they want a lag instead of a letter. They need a letter of map amendment, okay? Typically that's so that there's a building there, and surveying wise they want to know how high the building is above the flood zone by how many feet. This is kind of a reverse LOMA, as they call it, because there's no building there. So we're going to have to get our last known potential from some object, like a driveway that was, or where it was. And right now the engineers are kind of going back and forth on that.
Yeah, all right, so it's still in progress.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
So what a mess.
Wasn't it at a similar, yeah, you know that word, elevation of the Deb Wilson's building?
That is one of the issues they're raising, is whether it's there's a next door building that is, and Dan's trying to get them to accept this. It's such a nuisance. Prior existing our survey indicates, this is Dan, he says, our survey indicates that prior existing adjacent land elevations and current evaluation reveal that the property are below the floodplain elevation. And I mean, it also is kind of the reverse in another way, which is we're trying to prove it is lower than it should be. It's supposed to be below the level, so that, you know, a future building you want to build above, but that it was in fact below the floodplain.
The one piece that made the headway, I think, is the fact that in the 1938 flood, I don't know if it was Hagenauer's building, that was wiped out in that flood. So that piece of property, while FEMA did not show this in the most recent 1970 through 2012 that this was flood zone,
It had been
clearly that property has flooded before, and there were photographs and there's documentation showing it.
Okay,
Yeah, we were
I
able to
think
get
the
that.
one question I'd have is among our board, since we're really letting Dan kind of run with this, I guess Todd has been the most involved on it. Who of the board should be kind of working with Dan to finish it? Should it continue to be Todd? Does that make sense? Or it's okay with me.
What did Todd do?
I think he just talked to Dan. I don't think he
No,
did
I'm
anything.
I'm just curious as to why.
Dan's been doing everything. It's just a question of just who should be. We should have some oversight from the board. Is really what I'm talking about. I'm just reporting.
No, that's fine. I
Yeah,
just
so.
didn't realize that Todd had.
He had worked with Dan when they did the survey. He went out with Dan physically, and they were doing the surveying together. So I think it's just
Absolutely.
I'll
Yeah, I
send a
think
note
so.
to Todd just to tell him that this happened, and that, you know, we're kind of asking him to kind of keep on the case on this. Although I don't think anything
Is he
can get
CC'd
Dan
in
on.
those emails?
No, in general he's not.
Okay.
So I'll make sure he gets the email trail and that he gets involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
The next thing is this one is that I have is you, Gloria, which is the documents that were requested by Rebecca Tomaszewski, and I wasn't sure what these referred to. This amendment document. This is the email, and you said you were collecting the documents. This is just you forward that email to me.
Right.
So I don't know what that's referring to.
Oh, and that was just yesterday.
Yeah, that's really one set of hair. One set of hair. Proof that I pulled every strand physically.
Wow, that's when it began on the select board.
That was only a couple of years ago.
I have a complete blank in terms of my understanding of that. It was sent to me, so I forwarded it to you. I just don't know why I said I'm still getting these documents.
Yeah.
So I've blanked out on that. But this wouldn't have been anything that I would have been handling. I don't handle any PWs.
What's
So-
it about?
I don't know.
Colleen.
See, I just saw it, and I hate to
And-
say if it was forwarded as urgent. It had the
Yeah.
double exclamation points. I thought, Jesus, looks serious, but why is it? Well, Victoria's handling it, so I thought, okay. But I don't know what it refers to or what the...
Was there an attachment?
There must have been
Was there an
more.
amendment document
There
on
must
yours?
have been documents along with this. Yeah, it looks like down here at the bottom. So this is some attachment or something. I'm not sure what it is, but I imagine there was.
Well, this is on PWs. This is the same thing that we're talking about, where Christina is basically saying, Ben Rose and everybody says, no, you don't need the extensions. Further extend all open PW.
Maybe it's that. I don't know, but it's some weird thing. The attached amendment documents part of our contract and grants unit, and then there's something I've got that has. And I'm just wondering that I thought it was connected to this whole business about Dan Boyd, where you were talking to Dan Boyd. And Dan Hall again was involved with
Are those
it.
PW?
About
she says
what
it's
I
PW.
think
I
this
don't know.
thing is even though they're using the word PW,
Yeah.
project worksheet may not just be FEMA's. HMGP is FEMA, so they may also use the concept of a PW. I
How
thought.
about we just pick the phone up tomorrow, one of us, and call this person and say, what is this and what do we need to do?
And I've got my email open. I can go back
Yeah.
and open up the
Okay.
attachments and see what they are.
Because what I think it's connected with is this thing that we got from, in relation to the Boyds, to the Boyd buyout. We got this thing with a 5-page or a 7-page amendment to a sub-grant agreement, and that fits this word amendment. So that made me think that this and this are related, and this is one of the HMGP buyouts. Could you
Is
look
there-
into this?
Yeah.
I'm willing to hand over the whole thing to Chris to say, if you could look into it and find out what the deal is, it would be great. Dan may know all about it. This thing, Dan Hull was involved in this whole business with Dan Boyd. I don't know if these two are connected because maybe I could find it even here.
Well, and we'll also look at the attachment on
Yeah.
that and see what
So
we're
you look
talking
into it.
Yeah.
And if I find other stuff I've got, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
I'm sorry about
I'm
that.
looking forward
Just
to
what
it
you
there,
always
John.
wanted. Just what you always wanted. Well, I did want to ask Todd what had happened with the E911 thing that came up that was on the minutes. And I do know there was a conversation back and forth, and Todd's concern was the fence in terms of the 911 numbers. And he thinks it's not really a problem, but he would talk to have Merle call me if he's not sure. I think it's just that Todd is basically saying we don't need to get involved with the road, with the fence being in the road because it's a private road. But what we do need to have is the right 911 info. So I'll check back with Todd on this.
Because it was also getting fire equipment. That's
Well,
what
that's
Todd-
911.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check with Todd on that.
There's also
Merle has checked on the 911. Most
Right.
of those houses are listed 911, but some of the houses don't have numbers.
On
That
them.
was in that area.
So he's working on it. But the real...
Well, he doesn't know what you want him to do.
Okay, well, let Todd
Part
talk.
of it is just to be clear, part of it is that the stats address is something,
Right.
some number, Oak Hill Road, and you can't go
66.
from the beginning of Oak Hill Road to the end of it. You have to go on Miller Road to get to it.
Right,
And
right. That's
maybe
what this was about.
Maybe that's not a problem. I don't know.
Well, it's only as long as they have the right info, I think they can get to the right place. How the easy, I don't know anything about the 911.
Yeah.
But I'll get back to Todd and make sure it gets.
Okay.
I'll take that. The next item on the agenda is Irene and Beyond Summit. Gloria, could you want to give us
I
an
went last
update?
Friday to Norwich and attended this Irene and Beyond Summit. Not a whole lot there. It's just sort of like we found out that Sue Minter has, somebody else has taken over for her. She's gone back to the Agency of Transportation. And, you know, when it got down to it, there just really wasn't much. It was like we broke. It was kind of a main presentation of all of these people who were involved, and you know they just needed to give us a whole list of acronyms. You know, I'm with you, baby. I mean,
Well, we don't need to. We don't need to relive that.
but I mean, it's just, you know, you got that. And then I did go to the workshop on funding. And
Is that the webinar, or is that something?
that
else?
was, that was part of the summit. They
Okay.
broke down into
Okay. Go ahead.
different workshops. And again, this woman from Waterbury made a presentation. It's revitalizing Waterbury, and they had building Waterbury, and they were able to get donations up to close to $1 million. And they're finishing off all, you know, fixing businesses and everything like that. And so she goes on and on. And, oh, well, every town has to have a foundation, you know, because we got 20,000 from this one and that. And, you know, we're kind of sitting there going, no, not all of us do. So it just came down with, you know, who could leverage what at the time. They were very visible because of the government complex, state complex getting washed out, as well as the fact that the mental hospital was there. So, you know, if we could, and I think Dinah Reed was there and did a, you know, in retrospect, we needed to have had somebody as a fundraiser at the beginning, you know, and it's the first time through. So, you know, it was discouraging from a small town.
We were busy with
Yeah.
two other things.
Yeah. All right. And then what about the webinar?
The webinar, and I was talking to Chris earlier today, I think that just like the emergency watershed protection, where things, you know, they have their little box and they won't think outside of the box. And so we ended up, I found out that we've got to have proof of flood damage at least 3 times before. And, you know, we just don't have that documentation. You know, you've got to have itemized lists of repairs and whatnot. So I'm thinking that it's just not worth my effort to try that.
There just isn't an app. Okay.
The only other one, which has to do with the same grant proposal, I believe, is that I still think we as a town should go to get the grubbings.
Yes.
And I had asked Todd to kind of, you know, he should be able to do the estimate, that kind of thing. But maybe instead of going for this office building, then I'll look into trying to get money for the grubbings to be able to put down so that vegetation can grow along those miles of Dover Road. And Mark Pickering did say to me that the Agency of Transportation would be willing to do some of the calculations.
Great. Well, we need to keep pursuing that. Let's keep that moving.
But
along.
again, February 1st is the deadline in that.
Oh, for what?
This is the 4th and last round of the,
Oh, for HMGP,
Yeah.
but not for grubbings.
well, that's where I would be getting the grubbings, is through a grant from
I
each.
see. So you'd have to create a grant. That's hard. I mean, I've seen those things. It's like they put real barriers to. It's like as if we have a team of people to sit here and work on these when we've got massive amount to do with just keeping our head above water. Okay. Moving on to another of our great, what's the word for it? Not Pyrrhic victories, because there's no victory. Jousting at windmills is, I guess, the image that comes to mind. We come to the subject of jousting at cell towers. And I had just a lovely call. with the PSB. Gloria was on the call as well on 9 o'clock.
Yesterday.
Was that yesterday? Mm-hmm. I'm still suffering from it. Anyway, bottom line, we met on the phone with a hearing officer who is not himself on the PSB, but is hired by the PSB because the PSB has lots of these things and can't handle its load. It was extraordinarily clear, I will say, that from the very beginning, we had received a letter from them that already made it clear they'd made their decision before they listened to anything from us altogether, which is that they will, and I did receive confirmation of this today, that they will basically use their own independent consultant to check whether there is undue aesthetic damage. They do not engage in any way with the issue of are there alternative sites that would be better. That they just simply don't do that, and they would not yield an iota in terms of helping the town, letting the town have some input on that side. That if we wanted to spend our own money and hire people, in fact, they wouldn't even hear the evidence because we're beyond the 21-day period.
I don't even think it was a 21-day period. It's the fact that he
it's
said...
not their criteria. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the box. It's not their criteria. He's the one who makes the decision and sent out, and because we didn't even know the criteria when we sent in our
Right.
discussion, our decision, he can't address it. Or,
Yeah.
no, he won't address
We
it.
won't address it. And the fact is, if we, knowing that criteria, well, I must say I knew it from talking to James Porter, who is another different department, State Department, that the criteria was strictly this undue aesthetic impact based on the Kichi standard, which is kind of, I don't even know how that works, believe me, I don't know. But it basically boils down to you've got to show that it has this undue aesthetic impact. There will be a report. I would be shocked if it came back that there was undue, because it's a tower. Then they would be not permitting them in general. We could not get them to in any way consider. They did give us a little more time, so we'll have time to reply one more time if we wish to once we get the their consultant's report. But given the criteria, I think I think we've said what we have to say, and honestly, part of the problem is that, and this is what I was trying to communicate, some of the people talking to us, and I had indicated that the purpose of it going to the PSB was not to avoid serious involvement by towns, that it was something that was still going to be part of the process. But it seems to be blunt about it. It seems to be largely in name only, because the bottom line is the criteria are the criteria, and the PSB does not look at it from perspective of would it be better here or better there. They look at it, is it okay or is it not okay? And frankly, in terms of what townsfolk had said at the meetings, and what I think personally, we want cell service. So I don't want to say no, whatever, you can't build it there, because that's not what people were saying. No one was saying we don't want cell service. They were saying we think there are better choices, and that AT&T has picked something that absolutely suits them, but that doesn't take into account that their neighbors around there. But bottom line, that's really not part of the PSB process. And so though we will have a chance to comment, it's unlikely that it will be of any significance.
And Chris Campany sent them a...
Yes, and I did send around to all of you Didn't see Chris's. I saw. Is this signed by him?
It's Chris's.
Yeah.
It came from.
It's signed by him as well. I just knew because I had spoken to, interestingly enough, a woman from Windham Regional called me and said, we really want to comment on their response to this. And I said, don't you realize you're past the 21-day comment period? And so really? There's a 21-day comment?
Well, we had but they had responded.
They had one, but they wanted to do a follow-up, having heard back. They wanted a follow-up because what they are pressing for, and I think they did find some way to get their comment in. I didn't really follow the legalistic details, but the bottom line is they're suggesting that an 80-foot pole height would do the job, as far as propagation.
Pictures
so who knows, maybe a shorter tower will end up being in place, and maybe that will make some folks feel better about it. But this isn't something we'd heavily considered, but that's just informational. Windham Regional did kick in on that score.
And we did have an email passed on from Bonin that came to the website that just, if there's some way of them doing a solar panel instead of having the generator kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't know how.
The bottom line is, unfortunately, is that anyone who wished to go a different route from our letter to the PSB could have, of course, written their own. But by now, there are all these time limits.
But why is he saying then, Will Dodge, that we have continue to have a response period?
Because what was
Only
agreed in that telephone call
only on the
was
aesthetic?
that we have the right to comment in relation to the independent consultant's report. That's the only thing that we're allowed to comment on. Or that will be listened. Not that, to be fair, anything's really being listened to. They want to. It's the difference between a hearing and a listening.
Well,
so be it. Moving on. That brings us to the annual report, and I have for the Select Board's attention the draft of the warning that was done by Deb with input from me, and I would like everyone to look over it carefully. So just to be sure there are not any factual errors or things that should be in there that aren't. We will have to plug in a number of the numbers when we're really, because we didn't have at the time of this the final numbers on expenditures, and I still don't have a reading from VLCT on whether, the way I have done the surplus minus the reserve for the flood costs that won't be able to defray will be except. So we got some. I see. One and warned.
well,
Shall be notified, and that should be. That's what's wrong there. So I think what we can do is, I would like mostly for the board to look at it in terms of anything that is substantively wrong. We're not talking proofreading as much as substantively at this moment. And yeah, there are a couple things that everybody's sort of noticing simultaneously about wording. Just that Pat can clean this up once you now have a copy of this, because I forward you at the same time I forwarded it to the board. But I'll give you mine. That if you're seeing, I corrected just the and the voting.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody sees that are just...
Well, we haven't had, personally.
All right, no, but you can take any.
Page, yeah.
Maybe it was that about the SE Veds thing.
Right. Yes.
That Deborah announces that those letters or
Flyers.
But that she'll
That's
do
up
that.
front.
Yeah, that shouldn't be in the article, however.
No, but just as a part of it.
Sure.
One of the.
I actually called Laura Sibilia today. Let me pass this to you because it's got those two corrections on it. I did call Laura Sibilia today to kind of say, no, we won't be putting that copy into the report, but that she would be free to bring it and distribute it, and I would be happy to have Deb say, something about their existence. But that would be really helpful to have somebody speak for it. And then since Stephen, I would think Stephen Morse might be likely to come if he's in the area.
That's kind of up to her to. It would be up to them to make sure they have somebody here.
Absolutely, because I can't see that the town would go along with it if there weren't someone speaking for it.
Is this the extent of the articles, or is this amendable?
We have to keep it open until
It's always
January
amendable.
24th.
Okay.
Because there can be other articles.
Are there other
coming in.
articles you think should be there? No, I'm asking Chris.
No, I was just kind of verifying whether we...
This is all the ones I know of now.
Okay.
It can, yes.
So 13, 14, and 15, we've got to put expenditure items or amounts in there?
Right, because we're very close, but I wanted to check with Pat tonight how she was doing this to make sure she wasn't doing PDFs as opposed to Word documents.
Right.
Actually, and she is doing it in Word, so she can now format it and put it in there, start getting everything in place, and then when we have the finalized numbers, we'll put them in.
Do we need to meet? Is there any...
There's nothing that's open. There are no open items because we resolved everything at the Tuesday meeting. The only thing that is open is whether the item referring to the surplus minus the reserve for the flood.
Right.
Whether that can go in capital in the capital needs section, or whether it must belongs in the as revenue. It ends up being a wash as far as the actual end result, but it'll make the sort of the budget part look better, and it'll make the capital part look worse. I mean, so it's really bottom line. It doesn't make any difference to the taxpayer. It's the same dollars.
So who's going to make the decision?
Well, I thought that we decided to do that if it's to do it in the capital section.
We were checking with the VLCT.
If it's permissible per VLCT. If it's not permissible, it will go back to the thing if that's acceptable to everyone.
I think it is.
Yeah, we never sort of finalized that, but
Well, we didn't have a
you
ruling,
had that little
yeah.
yellow box
Right.
that said that.
Right.
We never.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there is a point actually where we probably at our next. Well, Pat, when do you hope to be finished? That is to send this to the printer.
Well, it should be sent to them. It should be sent to them in about 10 days.
The question is, the reason I'm saying that is, if it could be sent to them in 14 days, then we could have one final, everybody looks at everything and says, is it okay? Do we put our stamp on it? If I'm comfortable with where we are now, and that what we're talking about no big numbers are going to change from now till then. So I would rather not have the printer stressed in terms of getting it done. So I think the 10 days should be fine if the board's accepting.
Well, I guess I brought it up for that reason, because if we wanted to go, even if it was a 45-minute meeting or an hour meeting,
just to put
to
our stamp.
run through it and go, okay, we're clear.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
And
fine.
you said you wanted to check with VLCT?
I have to
just
check on
make sure?
VLCT.
Okay.
That's on just where that number one line fits. I did put in a call this morning, but they didn't call me back. Okay, that's cool. So once we have it really near final, it doesn't have to be literally to think, then we'll call a meeting and we'll meet and we'll say yes, we'll yay or nay,
Yeah.
or they'll drop. Okay, good.
I have another comment. We did not. I'll need Priscilla listening because she wasn't at that meeting.
Okay.
I had asked the select board to not put Article 3 in as an article, because legally it does not have to be in as an article. The town clerk, the treasurer, all of the salaries could just be right in the budget where they are, without our being separated out from the the employees of the town. If you look through the budget, do we have it line item, one that says Todd and the other members, and then do we have one that is for the administrative assistant? So we know much more in terms of the administrative assistant's salary within the budget. But when you get the road crew, it's this lump sum in the highway, and it includes various things. So there's no way for anybody to track that this has been this amount and this amount. So when I brought this up, and you weren't at that meeting, Priscilla, I said, this is, and now I'm speaking as the town clerk, it's because certain members of the town decide that we should work for nothing because we have such cushy jobs, then we sort of get attacked as public officials. At every single town meeting that I've been at, the town clerk and the treasurer has been caught short. If we get a raise, if there's no salary increase, then everybody can, those who think it's great just can approve it, and they stand up and they say that. So it's only a historical kind of thing like this. I think that the members who spoke, when I really had preferred to have everybody talk about it at once, said, it's historical, and they're going to think that we as a select board are just trying to be deceptive, and I don't understand that. So
what is the reason
why I don't want
Yes.
it? Because we get attacked as public officials.
Well, you are a public official.
Sure.
And you're elected.
You are an elected official.
Absolutely.
Now, the road crew, let's just say John Snow. Well, sorry, John, if I... He is an employee. He is hired by a body.
Right.
The town gets together and you are elected for a 12-month position, 12-month term.
Right.
Just like a school teacher, because you're a public official, they're in the town, in the reports for the school district. It might say, Mary Jane earns this much money. Okay? What's the problem with disclosing that to the public?
It's disclosed in the regular budget.
Just as a matter of fact, just to keep facts clear. First of all, town employees' salaries are listed in the budget. It's in the town report. There is a page for town. That page. It does show his salary.
Each
person, and it shows the year before. And
well, it doesn't show comparative, but nor does the.
It's a breakout.
But
Hold on. Let me my turn. So that's just a point of information. It is there, so people can get each individual's. It is certainly true that we do not vote on it as a what do you call it? As an article. And actually, in my talking to Deb, she said, she thought she might say, as moderator, this is the last time we're going to do this because we don't really need to do it, or we would consider it. But that it's really the board, the bottom line is, it is the board's decision whether to include it. As I've told you, Gloria, I think you're inviting bigger trouble to leave it out, because I think people do, there are the same people who criticize it each time are the same people who very carefully look through and will say, how come every year previous every other board has always listed these officers and their salaries, but this board has chosen not to. And I think I do think we'll get attacked for leaving it out, and that the vehemence of the critique will be stronger even and it will win over some people who otherwise are neutral if you don't say, look, I totally understand your point. It is historical only, and it isn't even from a VLCT perspective. It's not really a good idea even, in the sense that you now have a number in your budget and you have a number in an article. If the article is voted down, you now have to amend your budget. That is a nuisance. You wouldn't wish to do that. You really want to vote at the budget itself, because now the number that you're putting in here as what's your total cost has just changed. So that it is problematic in that sense to have that article in there. But my feeling was you're going to get more flack for raising it. That was the point I made at the time. We did not vote on it, however, and you have every right to bring it up again and to bring it to the select board for a vote, should that article be in there or not. That's and so that's what I have to say.
What does the article actually say?
It lists it says, shall the voters of the town of Newfane pay its officers. I don't want you to distribute it, actually.
Can I just show them what it says?
Yeah, the reason being that it means the 2 or 3 people happen to be here didn't have advanced knowledge of a budget where the rest of them.
By all means, don't want to have anything on.
But you certainly could know that.
This is the article.
It's a 3%, it's a 3% increase.
Okay, but by definition, don't the treasurer and town clerk have to ask the town by article for
No, they do not. There's no legal requirement. It's a historical
If we
precedent.
put it in a line item, which this same amount is put into the line
Right.
item of the budget, essentially if you vote the budget in, you're acquiescing
That's
to
it.
what we put in that
Exactly.
byline.
As long as they don't, by law, have to ask.
No,
for it.
it's
we
not.
don't. That's why.
In
That's
fact,
why
by advice, we shouldn't be doing. We shouldn't have. But that's also true about the things we do with some of the special appropriations, because they're also in the budget. And if somebody said, we really shouldn't be putting that money to the special appropriation, then strictly speaking, it changes the total that should be in article whatever, because we just added $300 or subtracted it. But honestly, I understand.
We don't need to go on about it, but I just wanted to bring that up, that hadn't been voted on by the select board. So if we have this meeting to finalize things.
Well, we could have.
Were
it
we
right
asked
now.
was there a motion on the
There was
table?
no motion.
No, it's because I said, let's not discuss it until Priscilla's back. So we discussed it, but we didn't have.
Oh, I see. I didn't catch that it was Priscilla.
Well, do we want to have a vote on it?
So far, there is no motion on the floor.
But
I guess if you want my opinion, I think that I know exactly what you're talking about, Gloria, and I do feel that it's always uncomfortable and I think really unfortunate that it feels like you're just sort of put out there to on a whipping post or something. And,
it's demeaning.
Yeah, I mean,
It's demeaning when we're told that we're.
The only thing that I can say is that it's exactly as John said. That's the only thing that concerns me. I think that it would be great to say this may be the last year that this article is put forward in this way, and next year it won't be.
Well, we can't actually dictate it. I'd have to be reworded.
There'd be a new board next year dealing with.
But
Yeah.
I think that I think that the only thing that you can do is say that it's part of the territory at this point. I don't know if
Yeah,
if it's
I went to the training,
or whatever.
the select board training with John 2 years ago, and that's where it first came up. So I bring it up, and then the other comment with that is that when we do discuss this as Article 3, we don't hit the full budget. So I know when the town clerk and the treasurer were flatlined and the road crew got 50 cents an hour increase, then it came up and we tried to, from Article 3 to when you finally got to talk about the road crew, nobody remembered to bring that back up. It's a...
I'd like to make one other comment. I understand what you're saying about demeaning, but I'm going to just say I've walked through this budget, okay? I would be agreeable to removing Article 3, where we have to vote on your salary, if we produced a budget that showed, similar to what he was saying as far as Todd's salary, Jon Snow's, and so on, if we showed your salary, your health benefit, your dental plan, your VEMR's retirement account under the town clerk. So instead of saying salary and expenses, it's salary and the benefits. Okay?
No, we don't show that for the...
I was going to say, and then we'd need to do that for the highway.
And
I want to...
And that'd be very uncommon for...
And then it would be unemployment benefits
Right.
for the highway crew and Pat. We don't get unemployment.
But-
You don't get sick time or vacation either.
All right, well, could we...
Yeah, anyway, but just...
Yeah, I mean, but if we did that,
Gloria, I leave it. I would feel it would make more sense to have the vote with. If I don't hear a, let me put it.
No,
differently.
I don't
hear a
no,
motion. I'm more sympathetic than not with what you're saying. I do think that sometimes people do take advantage in the sense of the fact that it's right out there to kind of go after an individual.
Well,
And
it's not the individual. It's not the individual. It's the elected officials.
Yeah, as though it weren't a job. It's a job. In my, yes, you could conceivably walk off it, but it's a job, and it's very important.
Anyway, thank you for...
All right.
You can always, when a motion comes up, make a motion to pass over very quickly, and that might take care of it.
Not with our crowd.
Yeah, the moderator.
Not with our crowd. I mean, that's where I'm sympathetic because I've seen it. It's not very nice. What can
And
happen?
the other thing is, would it be simpler to explain why it's not there than rather have it come up and have a half-hour discussion on it?
Well, whatever. I mean, I think it's a 6 or 1/2 dozen or the other.
I mean,
myself,
you're
but-
doing and I don't think it would come back on me as a town clerk. It would come back on the select board.
Right. True.
So if that's where you're...
True. So that may be why I don't want. Believe me, I got enough flack
Okay.
to satisfy myself
I just need,
for a
I just
lifetime.
need to get that off my chest.
Okay. Thank you. Then it's up to you if you want to bring it up again. Okay. Moving forward, that leads only to unofficial business. Anything else on the annual report? Let me ask Pat.
Oh, you wanted to...
If there's anything that we need to consider relative to the annual report.
Nope, I just think the capital right now
Yes, I
is my
definitely-
main concern, and I hope to be.
I'll give you a
Okay.
spreadsheet, a finalized spreadsheet.
Okay.
Now, what we have, which
Yeah,
there should be 2 pages.
It's front and back. I conserve paper.
one for Pat.
The last thing of the annual report is just to finalize the letter. Really, there's nothing changed until we added is it on the where is it?
Paragraph 4.
Paragraph 4, and I'll just read it aloud. The select board also worked with 2 programs that involve getting assistance to individual property owners. The Hazardous Mitigation Planning Grant, FEMA, for home buyouts, and the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, USDA, providing stream bank stabilization for homeowners. Both programs have had very specific federal regulations for homeowners to qualify. These programs are ongoing. So Gloria had mentioned that and thought it should be added, which does seem like an important piece. I don't know if anybody has any edits or comments on it. Hearing none, I'm going to move on and consider it. Do people feel it should be in the...
Yeah.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a
Sure.
fair amount of work.
Yes,
thinking of this.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I did make one other change, John, and you can look down on that.
Okay.
When it came to the administrative assistant's position,
Okay, that was one.
you said, the original one
Left. I
said,
said left, and you said told us she was leaving.
yeah, because it wasn't after she left
I
that
see.
we conducted the extensive search. So
I see.
I changed
Okay.
it to,
That's fine. I never was totally. To be totally honest,
but she hadn't
I
left.
felt that that's better. I'm fine with that.
Okay, that's all.
I had sort of wanted to say something about, I had gotten waxed a little too far, and we cut that out. I did feel it's a little, but cold, if you will, but that's the way it is. It's life in the big city. I would have liked to say something. The woman did serve the town for 5 years, and I wanted to mention that, but I couldn't think of an easy wording. That was what I was struggling with myself. But I do believe that I'm okay with what we've got now.
And I forwarded this copy to you, John, so you can get it to Pat.
Okay. Now the one, unless someone has any further comments on the paragraph about that. The one thing that is really missing here is a kind of thank you paragraph. Because I look back at previous town reports, and I thought last year it was mostly because, hey, people had saved people's lives even in the flood. But I look back several years, and every year there's a paragraph that thanks, lots of people, not individuals, but the fire department, the this, the that. We don't have that, and I feel that's I don't think that's a good precedent to set for us to be a select board that ignores the service that others other than the select board have given to the town. So I was hoping.
What's the select board's page for last year's?
I get confused.
Because
I always
the
have
first one
trouble
was the
finding
dedication.
it. Right, it's not the dedication.
Page 24.
Let me. Yeah, is it 24? So last year we just reading what was written last year. Again this year the board received tremendous help from the community. This was a particularly challenging year. I don't want to read it aloud, but there was definitely a thank you. And as I say, every previous year has had that. I guess what I'd like to ask is, could someone take on writing a paragraph much like this one, but that kind of, that thinks through what are the groups that have really kind of helped us through the
This
course of
might
the
be
year.
one place we could thank Chris and
I was thinking that it's possible, though I don't know if we want to.
Well, we could
haven't
do it
mentioned
more
any of
for
the Rock
parade.
River Association. Do you think you could take that on,
Yeah.
Gloria?
Can anybody give me any? I'm just going to put Chris and Carol
Okay.
just as a
I understand.
starting point.
Well, I think again our fire departments are both the Newbrook and the South Newfane Williamsville. Many of the same that are in here
But
from last year. Certainly all of those.
last year was very specific.
True, but they're always there when you
Well, I
need
know,
them.
but
so.
do we think of any?
Special.
Any-
Can anybody
anybody
think
else
of what
special?
anybody thought?
Special.
Anybody think of an organization that other? Well, we pat ourselves on the back or get kicked in the back. I'm not sure which it is.
A
Depends
little
on the
bit
day.
lower for the kick.
Yeah, I'm into that kick. You gotta have a little bit of masochism.
Chris and- Can you think of
I'm
any
trying to look for the one from 2010.
besides Chris Drukin trying to get us?
No, you don't.
Through
No,
this
no.
audit.
I'm only signing my little name if I have to. but I don't want my name in it.
Ancient Village Committee, Newfane Hill Common Committee, Emergency Response Committee, Williamsville Hall Committee.
Some of that committed to every committee. I don't want to really list every committee. That feels silly.
That's why I'm saying,
Administrators.
I think the fire departments are always, because they're so critical in emergency situations, I think they should get a mention. Personally, I mean, I don't know what other people think.
Can I have time to think about it?
Yeah, because we can figure this a little bit. Just know there'll be about one more paragraph.
why don't you email me?
So that's a great idea.
I'll email you some
That's
thoughts.
a great
Yeah,
idea. That's a great idea. I only thought of it, yesterday and got the email out today. It's not enough time to think about it, but if each person would think of who we should really take the time to thank, I would really think it remiss not to have that
I want to
paragraph.
thank my 6 cats.
Yeah. I want to thank my wife for putting up with me through this year.
Bless her. She's going to become a saint.
Okay. I believe that concludes our work.
I did have one little thing I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
There was a meeting at 4 o'clock of the South Newfane Williamsville Postal Service to inform us that they will be reducing the hours. They will continue to keep everything the same, still open on Saturday the same way.
Okay.
They're going
But isn't that temporary that
They will revisit it again in 1 year.
I see.
But the heartening thing is, we're just going to have a little longer lunchtime and a little bit less on either end for lessening the hours, but it's still going to remain open.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to go to that actually, but I lost track of it and also had to get ready for tonight.
Okay.
I do have one other piece of sort of unfinished business,
I've got
which is the proof drawer issue. We did do the thing of checking this guy out, but then after the guy did the work, he told Pat, then got the thing open and got it so it used. He said, that thing could jam up or the handle could fall off. It's so old, and once it does, you're not going to be able to get the thing open, and then it's going to cost you $1,000 to get somebody to essentially break into the safe. So to store, it really doesn't work as a fireproof cabinet for us, and we don't need anything of that scale at this point. I would think that it would be worthwhile to purchase a 2-drawer fireproof file, and have asked Pat to at least look into that. I think there may have been some thought that we should be using any money for something else, but if we certainly must have documents that need to be protected.
We do, and actually the treasurer during tax time is accumulating lots of cash. So every evening she's running to the bank.
So,
But also, just point of information, she could put that in a envelope and
put it in
I'm
the
here in the vault and I'm here before she is. So, just for that, at this time, I think definitely we need some drawers. But I don't think just doing something really quick for that reason of having cash. We've got places to, at this point, I've been very concerned since September of 2011 with the fact that all of our documentation for the flood sits here.
right.
And this office go down and we have nothing to back us up except what Christina would have off. But I also, in talking with Maureen, you said you went to those file cabinets and to those file cabinets. So I think both Maureen and Pat could probably use a 4-drawer one. Pat only if she would be putting all of those files in that. So that, but still at this point, we have access and it could go in the vault. And I've kind of asked for that with Dan and Shannon, but they've sat out here. So there's only Fridays when I'm not here with that, but you have the combination. So I'm just thinking of timing on it. Is it crucial to do it right now, or to look at, should we go ahead and get 2 4-drawer ones, one for Maureen and one for, and those are expensive.
Those are expensive.
But for having what you need,
Well,
She and I discussed it, and she said the problem with having one, and I don't see that it's a problem, is that where does it go? Does it go in my area or does it go in her area? And I'm perfectly fine for it to go in her area, because if she's handling cash like she is, and she wants to go across the street, it's not laying on her desk or in a drawer that anybody can come in here and take. So I'd be more than happy to have that file cabinet sit in her area, because she will be using it the most and often. But
Right.
I do have documents that I would like to put into fireproof.
I guess what I'd like to ask you, Pat, to do is kind of to estimate how much space you would really need to have the key documents that we really can't afford to lose, and then what the various options in terms of a fireproof cabinet would be, and then we can discuss it a little more. It's not like we have to resolve it tonight, but I
Right.
do feel like we should keep working on this to try to.
Do you
ourselves.
want to vote to?
We can't vote and really until we have something practical.
Okay.
But to dig into it, to research it, to pin down how much you need, how much Maureen would need as far as space, what the various options in terms of costs are, that would be very helpful.
Do we plan on keeping that?
The problem with it is getting rid of it.
well, I have somebody who takes metal. I can
Could you
find
check?
out.
I mean, they
because
said,
he
the
would,
guy said
I mean,
that no
that'd
one
be a
will
lot
take
of
it, but
metal.
if someone
Yeah.
would take
Might
it,
be worth
I think it'd be
something.
desirable to get rid of it,
I'll
because
check
it's
with-
actually not, and having it closed, it's not locked at the moment.
No.
But it's being closed. It still can get, you can get in this position of not being involved.
If someone walked by and turned the dial, they've locked it.
Then you'd have to unlock.
well, what I suggested too when Maureen said that is, why don't we, I've done it on one of my file cabinets because I didn't have a key to it and somebody had pushed it in. So Gary came and unlocked it and we just put tape over it. So we just
But
need
those things are big. They may go right. I'm not sure.
No, I'm just saying over the dial.
Oh.
Anyway, but it is.
We do
a
know the
concern.
combination. Well, we know the combination.
But that's not the problem so much as if something drops in there, then you can't open it even if you know the combination.
All right. Well, we should move ahead with it. And, all right.
Because I was thinking too, John, this would impact our budget, but we may really need to put some money into next year's budget if we were to go with, because where is it coming out of this year's budget?
Well, we'll be over on some item, but we're allowed. Our job is to manage the finances of the town.
Yeah, but anyway,
whether or not we thought of it the year before.
But if we create the need then for bigger ones, we should be putting a couple $1,000s into a budget.
Yeah, well, let's
line
see. We haven't gotten to that point. I'm sort of more thinking a smaller thing that handles the basic stuff. And if we have documents in the files that we can't afford to lose, we should be scanning them. We should have a.
But then the scans need to
electronic.
somehow. That's got to be off.
That's easy. That's relatively easy to do. That you can put on a flash drive. That flash drive that she gave her is 8 gigs.
No, I don't have a question of that. But is it being done on a daily basis?
No, it isn't being done yet.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we have to deal with this
Yes.
issue. That's all I'm
Yep.
really saying to the board. Okay. Correspondence. I don't have any correspondence in front of me. I asked Pat to put it on even if we didn't have it, just in case anything came in. But I guess I take that back. I lied again. Once again. I have 2 little. They're just awareness things about. Did I find it? Things coming up. I made it through my whole pile. Yeah.
Oh, that's
well,
good.
that's for the executive session.
I see.
We do have to have an executive session.
there it is.
Here it is. I found it. There's a grant writing workshop that's put on. I just want people to seriously consider going. If you feel you might move in that direction, WRC is giving it. And the other
I've
thing
already
is,
signed up.
Have you? Oh, great. And there also is this boundary and annexation survey coming up, which is one of these, another thing we're going to probably have to do in the course of 2013. And so we just have to, the workshops are free, but we're going to have to find them, and somebody's going to have to end up going to one of these and learning how to do it. But so I'm just making you aware of it. I think I did send this to everyone. Everyone has it in their boxes, but in your inbox, your email inbox. Okay, that concludes, I believe, our regular business. Brings us actually, now we have pay orders before, are we going to try to do we need to do
Can
pay
I
orders
just
before executive session?
Do one unfinished business?
Yes.
Pat, did you share the report on the reflectors from the sheriff's?
He spoke with you last, the police officer.
And I sent you a complete report of what he said.
And you sent an email, said he came in and he was going to.
Anyway, I sat down and said what he said so that you could present it too. Anyway, I don't know where we had the sheriff's department going and pulling out Nancy Reese's reflectors, but George.
We didn't. The select board
We
did
didn't
not
ask
call
them to tell
them.
them to
No.
do that.
Okay, then.
They may have gotten a call from someone complaining about them. I don't know.
Okay,
So the sheriff's department did this?
But we,
So yeah,
we did not.
so he came in and said, this was George Bagley, and just said he had the statute that we sent to Nancy Reese. He said that does not apply to this. He said that he had taken the reflectors off, put them on her porch, and then she called him, and basically, if it now becomes a civil suit if we want to do anything, but he would back up pretty much what Nancy said is, we'd have to have every mailbox moved, everything, because they're in the town right of way. And so he said they're up on the side, and basically, if she wants to pursue anything with us, or if we wanted to do anything, it has to become civil. So that statute didn't apply. That was sort of like putting that fence across the public road would be something that would apply to that. So, I just wasn't sure where. He just came in when Pat wasn't here, and I just took down the info. Anyway, I think
Pat,
that
if you could
finishes.
just forward that to me once you've signed it, I'd like to just see what it says. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
There you go. That's okay.
Okay. I think I know we have pay orders before executive session. Pat, you don't need to stick around once we get, because the executive session, we have a couple of things we need to talk about, and it's going to take a little bit of time.
Okay.
And I think that
We can handle it.
we can.
Pay orders when we're looking for these other